Oh man, so another red day in the markets. It feels like it's non-stop. Bitcoin down 1.2%, currently sitting at 36,000, trying to hold up a little bit at this level. We got Fantom down at 72 cents, down 2.1% today. What is going on? The markets are fearful. We've had another bad piece of news come out in terms of economic data. We've got a lot to cover off. We've got a new catalyst on Fantom. Will this lead to the price moving? We've also got some drama around Cardano, which we're going to be covering off. So make sure you stay tuned till the very end. We're going to cover off all the key levels from a technical perspective and look at the macro elements as well. As you know, this channel is committed to bringing you the blend between technicals and fundamentals. So if you appreciate that, smash up the likes. Don't forget to subscribe. This video is brought to you by NordVPN. Check out NordVPN. Links in description to make sure you're staying safe in crypto. If you've not set yourself set up on a VPN, guys, you're playing a little bit of a risky game. You need to be set up on a VPN at the least. It's like $2 a month, guys. If you're serious about crypto and you haven't set yourself up on a VPN, click the link in the description. Coupon code OLDMAN will get you set up on a VPN. Now, let's look at these markets. And needless to say, yesterday was not fun. We got completely rug pulled, and this is just evidence that the markets no longer have trust in Jerome Powell, the chair of the Fed, right? So when Jerome Powell was speaking, the market started running, and then the day after, when the data started to come out, we just got rug pulled. Remember, bad e-com projections from the likes of Etsy, from eBay, from Shopify. Tech companies really did sink yesterday. We had the likes of Microsoft, Apple, Meta, all these big companies, Amazon, down in the range from 4 to 7, 8% each. And Bitcoin was down yesterday at 9%. For me, if Bitcoin's considered the ultimate risky asset in the whole of the world, I mean, it held up pretty well, didn't it? When you had some of your biggest blue chip companies falling up to 8%, for Bitcoin to just be down 9%, what happened to it being the world's craziest asset? And this should give you a clue that we're now pretty much getting to peak fear here in the market, and we're reaching a floor on Bitcoin. I mean, I'm pretty confident about that. I'm still expecting, like I said, us to go and test that 33 level at our technical price target. We're going to cover that off, and I'm also going to show you the level at which point I don't start to panic, but I start to reevaluate some of the theses in terms of keeping this upwards movement alive. And I'll come on to that in this video as well. But before we do that, let's take a brief look at Fantom. Fantom is holding up pretty decently here given what's going on. You can see that the first time we had to go all the way down to 65 cents before we had our run up. This was our FOMC meeting run, consolidated, rug pulled like the rest of the market, fine. But then we've held up pretty well. Bitcoin has been falling towards 36. We can see we're holding at 36. But here, this time, we only went as low here as about 70 cents flat here on Fantom, which is much better, right? It's better than being at 65. So we managed to hold that 5 cents in the floor, which is good. But we're still expecting some more downside. And the reason behind that is as follows. We can see here that the markets are getting spooked. And this morning, we had yet another key piece of economic data come through, which is the non-farm payrolls. And the non-farm payroll growth accelerated by 28,000 more than the estimate. So the estimate was for the number of jobs to increase by 400,000. They actually grew by 428,000 again, reminding us that the labor market is tight, reminding us that things are looking healthy. The unemployment rate held at 3.6 after being expected to nudge lower to 3.5. And maybe Jerome Powell will start to regret the fact that he said no 75 basis point hike, right? Because the economy is healthier than maybe even he had thought. So this is why the markets are starting to panic. Maybe, just maybe, Jerome Powell will flip-flop again like he did in March. Remember in March, he came out and said he pretty much set the stone that he's going to do 0.25, 0.25. And then halfway through, between that meeting and the one we've just had, he decided to say, oh no, we're going to front-load interest rate hikes and do 0.5. So now the market is trying to call his bluff and say, hang on, maybe he will still do 0.75. Let's get that priced in. And that's what we're seeing now. And if we head on over to this chart, you'll see this is the S&P. And you can see the movement it's had here on the hourly chart. And you can see Bitcoin's doing the exact same thing, okay? The exact same pattern. We're getting a little bit of bounce here on Bitcoin at the moment we're talking. We wicked as low as 35,277. If you guys have some limit orders right now, you could be getting some crazy entries in this volatility. And you can see the S&P giving us a little bit of green to fight back. But overall, so far in the open today, this is where we're at. We've got the Dow Jones down 0.32. You've got the S&P down 0.27 and the Nasdaq down 0.35. I guess the question now arises is there fear that we're heading into a recession? And if you were to ask this chap here, who's Brunello Rosa, okay, of his own firm, he says that we need to start thinking about the fears that this is not going to be the bottom. We could be nowhere near the bottom. And that is scary to say when we've had a whole quarter of the whole equities and crypto market super in the red, okay? And if let's cover off the key points, he says, now it's time for a reappreciation of the economic fundamentals around the world in terms of growth. It's hard for markets to be totally optimistic when inflation is going up, growth is going down, and interest rates are rising fast across the globe. This is his view, okay? So he's saying this cocktail of ingredients can only lead us to heading to the downside. It's clear that all of them, central banks he's referring to, are talking tough at this stage. But the reality is that lots of tightening will eventually lead to economic contraction. In the Eurozone and in the US, they are nowhere near realizing that actually there will be some form of contraction of economic activity. He thinks obviously the war, which we've seen has lasted much longer than normal, is also going to have effects and provide a headwind to supply chains as well. So things are not looking great, guys, in the markets. And we've got to remember, we've got to look to the wider market because crypto is just risk off right now, okay? And when it's risk off, crypto falls down just like all the growth stocks will as well. And that's why we're here on the pattern. Right. Now, what do we need to look to in terms of the broader pattern? I'm just showing you the 4-hourly chart now. And what you can see on this 4-hourly chart is we're on this descending wedge. We've broken to the downside of this descending wedge. The only bullish hope is that you recover and you get back into the wedge. Okay, you get back into the wedge, you work your way, you use 37 as some resistance, and you try to build your way back up. Now, the negative scenarios are twofold. We can just continue to fall, like bleed to the downside, or you can get a retest of the wedge at the top side and then fall, okay? Do not get caught in this bear trap. That would be a bear trap where people are like, oh, look, we're recovering. It's the bottom. Boom. Okay, you don't want to fall for that. So watch what happens. If you start building some scaffolding and starts working its way to the top, fine. Maybe we have bottomed. But at the moment, there's no signs of that right now in the broader economy. And there's no signs that the FUD and the fear is going to let up. So for me, I'm firstly looking at the technical target from the breakdown of this pattern, which brings you at 33,000 flat. That's the first price target here on Bitcoin to the downside. So we're monitoring that carefully. Now, if I head on over to the daily chart, what then comes into play is the wider white wedge, which we've been monitoring for a while. And the reason this is important is where we're at now after this big red candle is we've lost this pivot point and we've lost this pivot point. Okay, we've then gone ahead and lost technically this pivot point apart from the big wick on this green candle, which comes all the way down to the bottom at 34. So the only one that's left really is this last bottom of the wedge pivot point, which guess what? Happens to be at 33,000 as well when you take the wick of that big candle into play. Okay, so the bottom of the wedge is 33. A technical type breakdown from here is 33. So two things are giving us confluence that 33 seems to be a likely level for us to fall to. Now, let me zoom out and go back to our weekly chart here, because what I want to show you is where are we at in the macro picture, right? Now, when people ask me, are we still bullish on Bitcoin right now? The pattern is still technically bullish, right? This is an upward trend. Anybody who says otherwise cannot use trend lines, right? This is clearly a trend line. Now, obviously, we're coming down in here to test the bottom of the trend line. This is not ideal because what happened is when we fell from 70 all the way down to this low, which, by the way, this low here on this candle sits at 33,000. Call it, it's 32,987. Just call it 33,000 for ease. Okay, when we bounce to there, you'd expect it to have our next run up to the top, like my drawing depicts. But we didn't, right? We got up to here at 48,000 and we got rejected because of all these macroeconomic conditions which we've been monitoring and which we've been worrying about. Now the question is this. If we can bounce on this wedge and go back up and go beyond 48, we're good. We're good to go, okay? Because we've not created a lower low. We're good to go. We keep this pattern intact. If not, if we post below 33,000, okay, and we start breaking even, well, the first worrying sign is if you break beneath this wedge, which in the next week or so is at about 34.5. If we start breaking this line here, 34.5, 33.5, then it looks like we're going to go to test this line at 33. If we lose 33, then we have to reevaluate because then you're creating, in essence, a big head and shoulders pattern technically, and this doesn't look great, right? This is a move to the downside. This is not a bullish setup. This is not good because we're now undoing the hard work we did in January when we rotated from 33. Now remember, the other important level is our 29 level. Luckily in January, we didn't need to come to test this 29 level. The 29 was from the low of summer 2021 for those of you who are around. Since then, we ran up to close to 70,000. right? But then in January when we came down, so this was summer. I mean, this was then when we ran up to 70,000, in November. And then in January, we came all the way down to 33. We didn't need to go all the way to 29. If we lose 33 this time, our last hope is 29. If we lose 29, then we can see some crazy predictions about, are we going to see 25? Are we going to see 20? And things will start, we need to reevaluate our price targets at that point. But for people now to be calling 20,000, there's no evidence in the chart just yet of that happening. You've got to lose 34.5, you've got to lose 33, then you've got to lose 29 in order to start looking at 20,000 price target. There's no evidence in the charts to suggest that. That's just people plucking numbers out the air. Okay, so we need to be cognizant of that. Hopefully that gives you the broader, longer-term view. Now, what is the longer-term view here on Fantom? Fantom is not looking good here on this weekly chart, but nor is any token right now, right? Nor is even Bitcoin. Things are not looking good. This chart is curling over, big extension to the downside from our weekly EMA. This does not look good, hugely undervalued. You're now getting Fantom at super cheap prices, sitting at 70 cents. And these are the areas where either you have conviction or you don't. There's nothing in this chart which is going to give you excitement about buying this coin. You will only buy it if you have conviction. And what do I mean by conviction? Well, if I said to you that the latest iPhone, I'm going to give you the latest iPhone for 10 cents, what do you look at a chart to tell me if that's a good price or not? No, because what will the chart show you? The chart will show you a horrible chart from $1,000 that the iPhone retailed at all the way down to the price I'm selling you for 10 cents, right? And if you're using the chart to give you conviction, therefore, you're going to say, I'm not going to buy it. It's a bunch of red candles. That's a horrible, horrible phone. But no, if you know, oh my God, that's got the megapixel camera. That's got this. That's the latest iPhone with this and the triple camera and the zoom. And it's super fast and quick. It's got this refresh rate and it's got really long time battery life. And it's the latest one. Oh my God. You're going to snatch my hand off at 10 cents. That is conviction. That is the analogy of conviction. If you don't have conviction, it doesn't matter what, if you do have conviction, sorry, it doesn't matter what these candles show at the end of the day, right? You're going to look at it at the price it is, 72 cents. Am I buying? Am I not? And you're going to move on with it. Now, the final catalyst we have for Fantom today is some big news around FELIX Exchange. Now, FELIX Exchange is a centralized exchange and it's finally had its soft launch today, which is really impressive. So you can now head over to FELIX Exchange, and I had a brief little play around with it. It's built on the Binance Cloud, so you'll notice it looks very familiar. But you can now trade a bunch of trading pairs. Yes, it's a soft launch. Yes, more features will come out over time. But good, another on-ramp for people to come and use the ecosystem and to use an exchange that's easy and something they're used to looking at. Good. Now, do I think this is going to move the price? No. Like I said to you, things like this, the market's not interested in right now. We got major things to be worried about. Little projects like this are not going to move the market. And if they do, it's just going to be buy the rumor, sell the news because of a bit of hype. So don't get caught up in that. It's good for the long-term ecosystem, but don't get caught up in it too much. The other thing to keep an eye out is Roosh's wallet. And when you take a refresh of Roosh's wallet, remember, this is the whale who still has another $12 million, which is 17 million Fantom, to be liquidated on Scream Finance in a leverage position. He started off at 53, guys. He got super liquidated. His health score is sitting at 106. Remember, if this falls below $1, then this will start to be liquidated automatically, which some people are fearing can cause a liquidity issue on Fantom. I mean, you've clearly seen that it's dealt with the liquidity troubles when it first fell to 65 cents, and this particular wallet was getting drained from 53 million. So no reason to suggest it won't continue to hold up with what's remaining. People are also looking at Harry Year's wallet, which has a bunch in there as well, which people are worried. He's the founder of Tomb Finance. That are worried he could be getting liquidated as well. So those are two things we'll continue to monitor. But what I want to talk about now is something a bit different. And that is Cardano. Cardano today is holding up pretty well. You've got Bitcoin down 1%. Cardano just down 0.25. It's actually showing a little bit of strength with people saying, hang on a second, this under 80 cents business on Cardano is just crazy. We need to buy the dip. This is just ludicrous pricing. So we're seeing some of that action come in. We also had the following bit of drama, which really does help. So you've had Crypto Banter come out yesterday with Ran here coming out, and I think he said they don't have a working DEX on Cardano. And now, to be fair to him, he said he's bullish at Cardano. He said he's a holder of Cardano, but he did say clearly that there's not a working DEX on Cardano. And Charles Hoskinson, the founder over at IOHK, didn't take too well to that. He came out and said, we don't even have a working DEX on Cardano. Could we spam this thread with some screenshots of live DEX transactions? And then Rand came back and he said, hey Charles, as I said in the video, I'm a huge fan and also hold ADA, but which DEX can actually do fast transactions today with reasonable volume? And please don't say Sunday swap. And then Charles comes back and says, what the hell are you talking about? DEXs on Cardano are handling more load today than at the launch of Sunday swap, and settlement time is sub minutes. Wing Riders in particular is running extremely fast. You're spreading misinformation. I don't know why, but you are. Okay, so there you have it. Bunch of drama. And I think, look, the interesting point to take here, which I want to take away, is you need this kind of figurehead. I love the way, I mean, Crypto Banter is a huge channel. It has huge influence amongst retail investors. And it's not good that somebody on that show can spread FUD at the say of a few words, right? Which based on his FELIX. So it's good. And even I want to be checked if I say something wrong about Fantom. And this is why I want to come on to Fantom. You need this figurehead. And who's doing this piece for Fantom? Someone in the team has to be doing this piece. You've got Do Kwon, who comes out strongly with anybody who spreads out misinformation on the Terra Luna network. Right, you've got Anatoly, who at least does some appearances for Solana. You've then got Charles Hoskinson for ADA. Who's going to be that figurehead to do that for Fantom? And we need that because you can see here, this put a lot of ADA investors at ease. It puts the misinformation at rest, and you can move on. Sometimes you just need that. You need somebody to come out with more knowledge about the protocol to say, no, great YouTube video, but you're wrong. This is the truth. Let's keep it moving. And that was good to see by Charles nipping this in the bud and keeping things moving. We need to see that in Fantom. For example, this liquidity issue with these wallets. Who's coming out from Fantom to say, no, that's not an issue. That gets liquidated. We've done our stress testing. This is not an issue at all. It's all it takes. It takes a tweet from the foundation, a tweet from, one of the individual, whether it's Michael Kong, whether it's Simone Pomposi, the CMO. One of them need to come out and make these points clear and nip them in the bud. So, guys, we've been waffling on for way too much today, but there's so much going on. Fears of recession, prices falling, red market. It's a sunny day here in London, but shame we could not get a green day on the candles so far. As always, guys, if you appreciate this type of content, this blend between technicals and fundamentals, make sure you smash up the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. On next week, we've got Michael Kong, the CEO of Fantom, on this channel for a live interview. Please, guys, make sure you head into the pinned comment below, which is the Discord server, and put your questions to Michael yourself. I want to create the best questions from the community, and the most upvoted questions will be put to Michael next week. So please get your question into the Discord below. As always, guys, thanks for watching this video. I'm going to link up a video to the Andre Cronje interview that he gave, where he speaks some few home truths about Fantom. Make sure you go watch that. Make sure you watch the CMO interview with Simone Pomposi. A lot of great content in there on the Fantom ecosystem. Make sure you go watch those. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.